wasn't going anywhere without a reusable coffee cup and a reusable bottle of water.
This is Mela.
This is Don.
And we're sharing our experience as we reduce our waste,
Create a more sustainable lifestyle,
and reinvent our habitat. So I just packed us up a lunch. We're going to take you on a picnic with us.
Since we started questioning things before we buy them, we'd find ourselves out and about and wanting to buy a coffee and then going, oh no, but I don't want to use a disposable cup.
So we just got in the habit of planning ahead and always carrying one with us.
Don works from home, so he doesn't have to worry about lunch in the middle of the day. He can just go open the fridge. But for me, I have to plan ahead and take my food in reusable containers, and I take a cloth napkin and cutlery so that I'm prepared and I don't have to go, oh no, what am I going to get for lunch, and end up getting takeaways and using a bunch of disposable plastic.
When I first started cooking food for Mela to take to lunch, I'd get up early and have to think, oh no, what am I going to make? And then eventually we decided it's much easier for us to cook in bulk dinners, large amounts of food, and then put it in containers, save some in the fridge so it's ready for her lunch, and then save some in the freezer so we've got some easy meals to eat without the temptation of fast food. It's pretty windy out.
Tupperware is plastic, and we are trying to eliminate as much plastic as we can from our lifestyle. The more we tried to understand plastics and its categorization, the more confused we got. So here's what we learned about plastic. There are 7 types of plastics. Type number 2, 4, and 5 are safe to reuse as food containers. Another consideration is that plastic type number 4 is not recyclable. It is pretty easy to recycle plastics number 1, 2, and 5.
Be wary of putting any plastic in the microwave. Even if they're labeled microwave safe, it's important to note that this is a marketing term that means the containers won't warp in the microwave, but it doesn't mean it's safe to eat foods that have been microwaved in plastic.
Plastic type 1 is a single-use plastic most common for soda and water bottles. And as a rule, plastic types 3, 6, and 7 should be avoided for food use. Our first attempt to get away from using plastic or Tupperware was Pyrex. We thought this was a great solution because it is microwave safe, but unfortunately we discovered that Pyrex is non-recyclable because it is a special type of glass that is chemically treated to withstand high temperatures. Because of this treatment, it doesn't break down the same way as normal glass does.
As our Tupperware is starting to wear out, we're starting to replace everything with stainless steel containers. These ones that we've gotten here have a nice silicone seal inside the lid, which makes it airtight. So it's great for storing food in the fridge or the freezer.
The steel should last for decades, but if it ever does age beyond use, steel, like most alloys, is highly recyclable. And we check to make sure silicone is recyclable as well.
We decided to eliminate all the plastic wrap, plastic Ziplocs, and freezer bags that we'd been using in the past. Best solution to replace all of those plastic products we found was beeswax wraps.
You're gonna love these. I use them for fruit and veg mostly, like avocados or lemons. Often I'll only use a half of it and then I'll just wrap it up and store it in the fridge. It can also act as a lid to seal up a bowl, or you can even use it for wrapping up your sandwich.
The beeswax wraps come in different sizes and are made of organic cotton and beeswax. After each use, they can be washed with cold water and a little soap. And we bought our first set about 6 months ago, and they're still going strong.
They're also biodegradable or compostable. And another thing we love about these beeswax wraps is the packaging that it comes in. It's in an upcycled cardboard sleeve and is plastic free.
Some things you can't store in beeswax wrappers. And that's where our favorite type of container comes in.
We love mason jars. And we also upcycle and reuse many of the glass jars and containers our goods come in, rather than throwing them into the recycling after a single use. We just clean them and upcycle them.
Glass jars from our coconut oil, olives, jams, pickles can all have an exciting second life. And we're not the only ones who love upcycling jars.
A glass container can last for generations, but the lids do wear down and need to be replaced. When we choose to get new lids, we make sure to find lids labeled BPA free.
FDA studies in the US are not conclusive, but BPA is banned in Canada and Europe as a health hazard, and possibly a disruptor for your endocrine system and your hormones. We choose to err on the safe side and shop BPA free.
Once we had found options for replacing so many of our kitchen containers with safer, more sustainable alternatives, we decided to take things even further. We started bringing our own containers for takeout.
We were surprised to see just how accommodating our favorite restaurants were once we started bringing our own containers in. It took a little trial and error, but we're happy to share our tips for plastic-free takeout.
Number 1, straight after you order, pass your containers over so they can stick to their health and safety regulations and put the food directly into your container once it's ready.
Number 2, make sure and explain that you don't want any plastic bags, plastic wrapping, or plastic cutlery.
Number 3, take a couple different size containers. Some for a large meal and some smaller ones for condiments.
Tip number 4, sometimes they're not always going to get it right. But by going to the same restaurant repeatedly, asking for them to put your food in your own containers, with additional requests, they'll eventually get it right.
Number 5, don't be afraid to have a conversation with the restaurant staff about going zero waste. They see an endless stream of plastic leaving the restaurant every day, and they're generally happy to cut back on contributing to the litter and waste in the local area. So we're gonna see if we can get the butcher to put a whole chicken into here. I'm really nervous for some reason. It's like, I don't know why I get nervous about this. It's just because it's so unusual. I'm like, is he gonna go, no, this is crazy, lady. Let's see. Can you put it in here? Okay, great.
Anything else?
That's it, thank you.
So how did it go?
Good. It wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. The butcher was really friendly and helpful and chatted to us about what we're doing.
Looks like hard work.
In our next episode, we will share the trials and tribulations as we try to make our own liquid soap. Kind of turn into jello. Oh no.